Hey guys, so most of you probably know that I'm primarily a hammock camper. I even use my hammock in below freezing weather. I'm also cheap and don't like to spend a lot of money, especially on specialized gear. I want as much of my gear to be as multi-purpose as I can. The problem with hammock camping in cold weather is the cold comes up through the hammock and freezes your back and butt. A sleeping bag doesn't help because any insulation between your body and your hammock gets crushed. A common solution to this is the use of underquilts. I have two issues with underquilts. First, they are expensive. Now, I've seen people make their own for relatively cheap, but there's still another problem. They're not very multi-purpose. I've been using something else that works great, it's cheap, it's multi-purpose, and works along with a sleeping bag. A simple closed foam sleeping pad. When I put this in my hammock, it blocks the cold from hitting my back. I just throw my sleeping bag on top of me like a blanket, and I'm all set. Hell, I woke up sweating on below freezing nights with this setup. I can also use this setup to sleep on the ground, but there's one major problem with the sleeping pad. With the curvature of the hammock, it gets these ridges that are fairly uncomfortable. I think I've got a solution to that problem, and I'm gonna test it out now. If I ruin the sleeping pad, it's not a huge loss. It was less than 10 bucks. So let me go ahead and show you what I was talking about with the ridges, and then I'll show you my solution. All right, unfortunately, I didn't lay in the hammock long enough for the ridges to show up. It usually happens after an hour or so, but what happens basically is you get folds like this throughout the hammock, which get uncomfortable throughout the night. There's also one other problem I failed to touch on with the sleeping pad, and that is it shifts throughout the night. And I do have another solution for that. So my solution for the ridges, first of all, is really simple. We're just gonna make a couple cuts in the sleeping pad, which should mitigate the ridges. So first, I'm just gonna make a series of marks with my Sharpie, just a few inches long. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut out a bit of a triangle, like so. And then instead of forming ridges, these should come together. I'll go ahead and get this cut out and show you what I've done. Really, you would lay in the hammock long enough for the ridges to form and stay formed, and then you can see exactly where your ridges are forming, and that's where you're gonna make your cuts. But in order to save some time, I just went ahead and marked where the stress lines have been in mine because I've used mine a lot. Let me bring you over and show you the cuts I've made. So I just made a series of 6 cuts like this, different sizes. Basically I made 3 along each side. One towards the head, one towards the foot, one in the middle, and the same on both sides. So what I've just done is, in the places where the ridges form, I've made those cuts. So instead of the sleeping pad bubbling up, the sides will come in together and lay flat. That's gonna make it so much more comfortable to sleep in the hammock at night, especially in the winter, for a lot cheaper than buying an underquilt and top quilt while maintaining a multi-use piece of gear. Because even with these cuts made in here, you can still use this sleeping pad on the ground if you need to. Now, to keep the sleeping pad from sliding on you, we're just gonna take a little piece of duct tape like this, and I'm gonna stick it to my pants a couple times. Basically, it's gonna pull up some lint off the pants, so it's not as sticky, way less sticky. Then we're just gonna roll it like that. And if you notice here, I have an H marked on my sleeping pad. That's for the head end. So I'm gonna take my tape, put it on the underside of the head end. Now the pad is taped to the hammock, it's not gonna move. Not going anywhere. And the reason I make it not as sticky is so it's super easy to peel up when you're done. I hope this little trick helped you guys that are hammock campers that are on a budget. I mean, this is a very budget-friendly way of winter camping in your hammock while maintaining all your multi-use stuff. Like I said earlier, I use my regular old sleeping bag plus this without having to spend a ton on an underquilt and top quilt that can pretty much only be used as an underquilt and top quilt. If any of you have any tips or tricks, please leave me a comment down below. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.